cannot be held responsible for everything said and done and believed by people who like them and endorse them and vote for them, right? But that's why the Hagee debacle was such an unforced error on the part of John McCain. It would be one thing if John Hagee had just endorsed John McCain and John McCain had nothing to do with him. Then he wouldn't be responsible for vetting Pastor John Hagee and making sure that, for example, the guy didn't think Hitler was doing God's work. John McCain's screw-up in 2008 was that he overtly welcomed the endorsement and appeared with the guy and campaigned on the endorsement. And once you do that, you kind of own it, which somebody should explain sometime very soon to Texas Senator Ted Cruz.
Let me tell you, these less than 20 million Jews worldwide, God is going to bring them all back. The Lord says, I'm going to offer two strategies to Israel, to these 20 million. He says, first, I'm going to offer them grace. I'm going to send the fishermen. Do you know how a fisherman lures? Do you know how a fisherman does their thing? They have the bait in front luring the fish. It's a picture of grace. The hunters are opposite. Instead of luring them in front, hunters drive with fear from behind. The Lord says, I'm going to give all 20 million of them the chance to respond to the fishermen. I'm going to give them grace. I'm going to give them grace. And he says that if they don't respond to grace, I'm going to raise up the hunters. And the most famous hunter in recent history is a man named Adolf Hitler.
Here we are again. God sent Hitler to chase the Jews. Now, that is not the guy who famously had to be renounced by John McCain in 2008. That wasn't John Hagee, who you just heard there. That's a different guy. His name is Mike Bickle. And the Ted Cruz campaign just put out an excited statement proclaiming the Ted Cruz for President endorsement from Pastor Mike Bickle. Look, presidential candidate Ted Cruz today announced the endorsement of Mike Bickle, founder and director of the International House of Prayer of Kansas City. Quote, Heidi and I, this is in Ted Cruz's voice, Heidi, my wife, and I are grateful to have Mike's prayers and support. With the support of Mike and many other people of faith, we will fight the good fight, finish the course, and keep the faith. Part of what Mike Bickle teaches at his version of IHOP, the International House of Not Pancakes But Prayer, is that God sent Hitler to chase the Jews. The Nazis were doing God's work. Mike Bickle also famously says that he can see in the United States today harbingers of the Antichrist, things that tell you the Antichrist is coming, and you'd never believe who he thinks is the most nefarious one. Spoiler alert, it's not President Obama.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist. The harlot Babylon will be a religion of affirmation, toleration, no absolutes, a counterfeit justice movement. They will be sincere, many of them, but their sincerity will not in any way lessen the impact of their deception. The fact that they are sincere does not make their deception less damaging. I believe that one of the main pastors as a forerunner to the harlot movement, it's not the harlot movement yet, is Oprah.
Who? Oprah. Oprah Winfrey, harbinger of the Antichrist. Seems unlikely, right? But that's the whole point. It seems so unlikely. That's how she does it.
Oprah. She is winsome. She is kind. She is reasonable. She is utterly deceived. Utterly deceived. A classy woman, a cool woman, a charming woman, but has a spirit of deception, and she is one of the clear pastors, forerunners to the harlot movement.
That is who just gave a presidential endorsement to Ted Cruz. And that is the guy who Ted Cruz put out this official campaign statement proclaiming the endorsement, thanking Pastor Mike Bickle for the endorsement. Ted Cruz is now campaigning on his support from this guy who says that Oprah is the harbinger of the Antichrist. First reported by People for the American Way. And it'll be interesting to see if the Republican Party has changed enough since 2008. Right? Even though John McCain couldn't endure holding on to this endorsement in 2008 from a guy who said that God sent Hitler to come hunt the Jews. That was not sustainable in Republican Party politics in 2008. It'll be interesting to see if 8 years later in 2016, Ted Cruz can stand to proclaim and welcome and be proud of the endorsement of a guy who said the exact same thing, that God sent Hitler to hunt the Jews. It was God's will. That'll be interesting to watch, even just over this weekend, to see if Ted Cruz has to walk back his excited statement of support from the guy who says that Hitler was God's Jew hunter. Whether or not that happens, though, this endorsement from Mike Bickle of Ted Cruz and his proclaiming of it, it also offers a very interesting new angle on the fast-escalating fight between Senator Ted Cruz and Donald Trump on the campaign trail. Because it turns out one weird front of battle between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump is Oprah Winfrey. And you think I'm kidding, I know, but I'm not. Because it's very clear. I mean, again, here's Ted Cruz's guy, whose endorsement Ted Cruz is now campaigning on. Here's what he thinks about Oprah.
One of the main pastors as a forerunner to the Harlem movement, it's not the Harlem movement yet, is Oprah.
Oprah, how you know the Antichrist is on his way. That's Ted Cruz's guy. That's how Oprah functions in the Ted Cruz for President campaign. Here is how Oprah functions in the Donald Trump for President campaign.
Running mate. If you decide to go with this, who would be the ideal running mate for Donald Trump?
Oh, I think Oprah would be great.
Seriously?
I think that probably that would be serious, actually.
That was Donald Trump the first time he flirted with running for president in the 2000 presidential campaign. He volunteered, apropos of nothing, that he was considering Oprah Winfrey to be his vice presidential running mate that year if he, in fact, mounted a bid for the presidency, which he did not. That was the only name he ever floated as a possible vice president in the 2000 campaign. And it wasn't like people were asking him, hey, everybody likes Oprah, you're friendly with Oprah, shouldn't Oprah be your running mate? No, he just brought it up. Vice president? Oprah. Yeah, and that was a long time ago. That would have been the presidential campaign in the year 2000. But apparently, he is still thinking along those lines this time around.
Back in 1999, when you were thinking of running as the Reform Party candidate, you told Larry King that you'd consider Oprah for vice president.
I like Oprah. What can I tell you? She's
still on your short list?
Yeah, she's great. She's talented. She's a friend of mine. She's a good person. I've been on her show. In fact, I was on her show her last week. She said, could I be on her show with the whole family? I like Oprah. I mean, is that supposed to be a bad thing? I don't think so.
So what do you
I
think
like
about
Oprah.
who the kind of people you're going to run
I think
with?
Oprah would be great. I'd love to have Oprah. I think would win easily, actually.
So in what is turning out to be kind of a Donald Trump, Ted Cruz death match at this stage in the 2016 presidential race, one of the fronts of battle turns out to be Oprah Winfrey. I mean, it's a pretty clear distinction, right? Harbinger of the Antichrist or possible running mate. Choose.